Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the program Business Time here on Times Television. This is a magazine program where we bring you major business and economic news stories making headlines in the country. And coming up in today's edition, Medjin tips government on fixing the economy as industry challenges government on blackouts. We have these and other stories. The year 2018 is just a few days old. The Malawi Economic Justice Network, Medjin, says there is a lot that needs to be done to improve the economy. Medjin Executive Director is Dalito Kubalasa.
2018, these are the realities on the ground. The domestic debt, when you're going by the report by the Minister of Finance, is very alarming, because what the Minister was saying, what were the figures? Almost more than close to 3 times the amount of the budget for this year, So the debt is at 3 times the amount of just the budget for this year. And how much, how long is it going to take us to repay this? Meanwhile, we are still borrowing. Meanwhile, monies are still going down the drain, even though they are, debt monies. So who is being given the road? It's a Malawian. But who is the Malawian? You find that the Malawian is everybody, including the ministers, the politicians, and whatever. And these are people of goodwill sometimes, because if we were to, analyze deep down their hearts, I'm sure they mean well. I'm sure they want to do something for their country. But how come, we perpetuate things like these that are, at odds, at variance with what every well-meaning Malawian wants to do? So these are the things that only social accountability, the critical citizen who demands answers and who follows up, can only get here. So that's where we are. Hopefully, 2018, you talked about us being positive. Yes, I just started with a very positive story of, the positive vibe that is coming from such a small intervention that needs more support, like the one that we just did as Medjin. And we need to do so much more, to continue with a replication of such very positive vibes, because it's these ones that will compel, the duty bearers, these politicians, especially now when we're going into the elections mode. We can actually get more done now, as Malawians. And we can make it a point, and this is what I will say to the Malawians, we can make it a point for 2018, let's pin them down to do the right things. Otherwise, failing which, we'll punish them at the ballot box. We can simply do that. That's accountability. So never allow to be swayed by mediocrity, because that will not get us anywhere. So 2018, as we go forward, let's dedicate this year to getting the basics right, as we started with the grassroots. But the same thing should be happening even at the central government level. The same thing should be happening, with all of us working hand in hand, joining hands, the media, civil society, to make sure that we convince the duty bearers. If they don't do the right things, there is always a whip. And we can use this whip to good use as Malawians, in a very good way. So if they continue on a path of doing things for themselves in a very greedy and for their own selfish ends, let's whip them. We can whip them from now to the time of the elections. But we need to demand accountability. This is our only hope. And it begins with now, 2018. So all the previous years are for us to learn from as rights holders, holding the duty bearers accountable.
The Malawi Confederation of Chambers of Commerce and Industry, MCCCI, has expressed anger and outrage over persistent power outages that rocked the economy in the year 2017. This is according to a recent survey the chamber has released.
We focused on the blackouts because annually we conduct what we call the Malawi Business Climate Survey. And in this survey, we look at a number of factors that affect the performance of businesses, and we call them obstacles to doing business. the number normally changes between 24 and 26 factors, depending on the issues that are relevant at that time. Now, our survey, the Business Climate Survey for 2017, revealed that electricity was the number one problem. Previously, we have had issues of uncertainty of the economic and political environment. As a number one, we have had issues like the cost of finance as a number one. But last year, the number one obstacle to doing business, in other words, the most serious obstacle to doing business, was electricity outages, or blackouts, as you call them. So it was important for us to actually find out from our members the extent to which they had been affected by these blackouts, and that's why our focus for this snapshot survey, which we conducted towards the end of last year, was actually focusing on the electricity blackouts. Last year we had about 265 members, not about the exact figure. So what we did was to actually send out questionnaires to all of them. Normally, our membership ranges between 300 and 350. Last year was a little unique, and the reasons we were given by those who dropped out were that they could not afford because of the economic malaise the economy has been going through. These are companies that had been members for quite a long time. Some of us, even at our level, visited them, and you could understand the reasons why they had to focus on the survival at that time. Some of the members also closed shop. Out of our members, for example, 20 companies at least had either closed the shop or had become dormant. They were still in Malawi, but they were almost dormant. Yeah, out of the 20, 4 went to Zambia and 1 went to Mozambique, and as I said, the rest became dormant. This is what they told us out of our members. Now, the total number of members, as I said, was 65. So we sent questionnaires to 65 members. Some of the members did not respond to the questionnaires, but they gave us responses saying, yeah, even if we respond to this questionnaire, yes, we'll give you answers, but we don't think that the government is going to do anything, because we have been telling government to take action with respect to electricity, but the government has done nothing up to now. So it is a waste of time for you to continue getting views from us, because we don't believe that the government is serious about resolving this problem. So because of that kind of response from so many members, we had 50 companies responding out of the 265. So a small number, but I think still valid because of the numbers. So I think the responses that we got were still valid in our view. But otherwise, we would have loved to have gotten responses from perhaps more than half, or at least more than a third of the respondents. But it was not possible for us to force them to actually respond, because if they have lost hope in the government, that's what they said, and they were saying, government has been saying, we are working on this, be patient all the time. They have no time to be patient, especially if they have been told by maybe by the leadership, whether in ESCOM or elsewhere, that they should be patient, and maybe for 5 years or so, they don't think that the government is serious when it comes to resolving the issues related to electricity. So that was the reason we were given by the majority of them. Government has a lot of times blamed the private sector that they are not coming up with the solutions. And maybe not only private sector, but the other quarters as well. And I think what we would want to say is we have been to government a number of times trying to ask them to issue licenses to our members who have expressed interest. Maybe for purposes of confidentiality, I may not be able to mention the companies, but I'm aware of the companies. For example, some of the tea companies, there are many of them, so I'm not being specific, who have specific projects. Yeah, one of them would want to generate at about 10 megawatts, for example. That's still electricity. Yes, it's more, but electricity out of the 351 that we have, 10 megawatts is still something. There is the maybe so far the members that have come through us, we have at least 5 of them. That when you put together, maybe the total amount of power that will be generated is in excess of 200 megawatts. But we are also aware, for example, of the BOA projects. Yeah, you may have heard that there were studies being done on the BOA on the border between Kasungu and the Chisi districts, and that project is ready. I think government is expected to get a loan of a loan from the Exim Bank of India, but there is also some private sector involvement, and that's why I'm responding, including this project, because there is some private sector involvement. Government has not issued any license at all, any generation license at all, apart from the already existing generators of electricity. This is the problem. They are not issuing licenses to those who want to engage in solar power production. They are not issuing licenses to those who want to be involved in biomass, in the use of biomass to produce electricity. They are not issuing a license to anybody. There is an agent of government called MERA, Malawi Energy Regulatory Authority. We do appreciate that they have to do due diligence, but for how long are they going to do due diligence when the private sector has been expressing interest for quite a long time? There have been local companies. I am aware of 2 major conglomerates that have been expressing interest maybe for the past 7 years. These are listed on the Malawi Stock Exchange, so one assumes that they can easily access capital. And these are our members. They have been telling us to be asking government to be flexible in terms of issuing license. No license has been issued up to now. What we hear without confirmation is obviously that sometimes there are also interests of people who are responsible for issuing licenses, because they would want to partner, with some of these companies. And when the companies, because these are private companies, and they have to observe good corporate governance. When they're saying no, we are not prepared to do that, then the licenses are not being issued. So, but as I said, this is unconfirmed. But sometimes, unconfirmed reports may lead to the reasons why certain things are not happening. So I'm saying this because your question was, why is the private sector not coming up and saying, let's work with the government to make sure that we have enough electricity? The private sector is trying. There are lots of applications with the authorities, but nothing so far has happened. You will recall that there was also a call for proposals, and 22 applicants submitted their applications as independent power producers. And we have not heard anything up to now. And that was about 3 years ago. So one wonders how serious government is when the government keeps saying that we are serious, we are looking at this problem, and they are not solving any problem. We are getting worse than what we were 3 years ago, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, 10 years ago. Actually, Malawi is on the decline, and this is obvious to every eye, because if a Genco has been producing 145 megawatts out of 345, I mean, that is responsible only to feed. That is enough to feed only a city like Blantyre all along. It's not even enough for more than one region, and this is the whole country. And yet we were able to have power in excess of 300 megawatts before. So we are on the decline, and most of the challenges that we have are man-made. They are not necessarily caused by the natural disasters that we hear about, because natural disasters will always be there. And as the survey has revealed, there is a reason why there is management or leadership. The problems have to be sorted out by the people, who are put in positions to solve problems. Otherwise, there is no need for people with authority to actually be put into the positions. So excuses are being given in terms of the natural causes of the lowering of the level of the Shire River, but those excuses are not acceptable at all. If somebody is giving those excuses, it doesn't matter at whatever level of leadership, it just shows that they are not able to live up to the expectations of those positions.
US media giant Forbes has ranked Malawi poorly on the friendliness of doing business in the year 2017. Malawi has been ranked 136 out of 153 economies. We have the detail in this report.
Within the region, Malawi ranks above Zimbabwe, which is on position 145. According to the rankings, the United Kingdom gets the top rank in 2017 for the first time, up from 5th position in 2016. Forbes said the best countries for business ratings are determined using 15 different factors, namely property rights, innovation, taxes, technology, corruption, infrastructure, market size, political risk, quality of life, workforce, freedom, red tape, and investor protection. Malawi's neighbors Zambia, Tanzania, and Mozambique are ranked on positions 95, 114, and 127 respectively. Forbes noted that it used the World Bank's Doing Business report to grade countries' tax, investor protection, and red tape. Forbes said the Heritage Foundation Index of Economic Freedom provided the basis for its ratings on trade freedom and monetary freedom. It added that ratings on technological readiness, innovation, and infrastructure came complement of the World Economic Forum's Global Competitiveness Report. Forbes said it used the Property Rights Alliance International Property Rights Index to gauge property rights, which was led by New Zealand. The Forbes Best Country for Business ratings come barely 2 months after Malawi registered improvements on the World Bank Doing Business report of 2018, where the country ranked among top 10 reformers in as far as doing business is concerned. Malawi jumped 23 places up the ladder of ease of doing business, from position 133 to 110, the best position achieved in the past 5 years. From Blantyre, this is Taonga Sabola.
Remember, this is Business Time here on Times Television, a magazine program where we bring you major business and economic news stories making headlines in the country. And still to come, Forbes rates Malawi poorly on doing business in 2017. We'll be right back. And moving on with the program, let us now have a look at how the Malawi kwacha is faring against major trading currencies on the foreign exchange market. Despite the Malawi economy facing a number of challenges in the year 2017, most companies that are listed on the Malawi Stock Exchange are likely to post improved profitability. We have the detail in this report. In this trading statement for the period ending December 31st, 2017, Nico Holdings forecast its profits to be 180% higher than that of the previous year. National Investment Trust and Mpico are expecting a profit jump of more than 100% each. And integrated mobile phone network operator TNM has forecast a profit growth of over 60%. The firms are publishing the trading statements in compliance with the listing rule number 7A of the Malawi Stock Exchange. The statements are, however, based on information that is yet to be reviewed or reported on by external auditors. I'm William Kumwembe. Photography used to be big business in the late 80s and early 90s. But today, things have changed with the coming in of smartphones like this one. Look, today I can take a selfie. And this means someone is pushed out of the business. What's the future for traditional photographers? Chimwemwe Mangazi attempts to answer this question in this report.
Managing Director of JAR Digital Works, Peter Kansengwa, pointed out that business for the company declined in the just-ended year in terms of its clientele following the increase in competition. He singled out private events such as weddings and engagements where the company was hired on almost every weekend in previous years, which completely turned around in 2017.
2017 was a highly competitive market that we had. First of all, the introduction of HD, that's high definition cameras, whereby they're very expensive. So first of all, we had to invest a lot in high definition cameras, and then we had to come up with a value addition to all our services that we're offering to our customers. So as we are doing this kind of, this kind of service change, we had a lot of challenges, since we had to find money somewhere, and they had also to meet our clients, to talk to them, because prices also changed. So some customers came back to us, some other customers switched to substitution. So at 4% that are clinging to us, but 96% had to switch to substitution. So you can see that the margin of customers that we had were very low, and even the capital margin, even the business itself slumped a little bit. But as time went by, our customers came up to get used to our services. We are able to give them HD services that they require, and then we are also able to give them value addition services. So at least we picked up by the end of the 2017. But as 2017 started, we had a lot of problems.
Proprietor of Gab Photography, Gabriel Cimenti, concurred with Kansengwa, stressing that business in the industry was a nightmare in 2017, with some unscrupulous customers not honoring their balances.
Another problem is that some of the customers that we work with, they did not honor the payments. There are a few of them, of course, but it affected us so much because we have to go buy other equipment for us to work, to do good work.
The photography industry is booming, with many players opening studios in various towns and cities of the country. For Times in Lilongwe, I am Chimwemwe Mangazi.
Well, that story also brings us to the end of today's edition of the program Business Time here on Times Television. Till next week, on behalf of the entire production team, my name is William Kumwembe. But always remember, if it doesn't make money, it doesn't make sense. Bye for now.